Hey everyone, it's Chris Loud. Today I'm working on another intuitive abstract painting based on a prompt, and this time I'm starting with a specific compositional idea, creating movement and finding a pathway that helps guide our eye through the painting. This is an intuitive painting demo, so although I'm starting with the goal of creating a strong directional pathway, I'm not mapping out every shape or mark ahead of time. I'm letting the pathway develop as I respond to the colors, contrast, and movement already happening on the surface. And actually, in this painting, the pathway doesn't really become important until fairly late in the process, once I start seeing where the painting seems to be going. And before we get started, a huge thank you to Laura, Sherry, Rhonda, Lazy Cat Kitchen, Joy, Ollie University of Michigan branch, John, Carol, and Cynthia for the recent super thanks and coffee donations. I really do appreciate all of your support. So the prompt is called Bold Pathway, and we have a time limit of 15 minutes. For colors, we can use Cadmium Red, Prussian Blue, and Cadmium Yellow, or the closest you have to those. Plus, as always, we can use black and white. And the goal is to build a strong directional pathway using high contrast. And I think the word pathway is worth keeping pretty loose here. We don't necessarily have to paint a literal path. Our pathway might be created by a series of shapes, or repeated marks, or changes in value, or a sweeping line, or even areas of texture that visually connect one part of the painting to another. And this prompt is number 47 in my new ebook, 115 Abstract Painting Exercises and Prompts, which I've been working on for a while now. There are several different types of exercises in it, including mini warm-ups, see before you paint, color lab exercises, tool experiments, and then 75 abstract warm-up painting prompts like the one I'm using today. The whole idea is really to give us different ways to experiment, practice, and hopefully discover things we can carry into our larger paintings. So if that sounds useful, I'll leave a link in the description below. So for the surface, I'm using 98 pound or 160 GSM mixed media paper, and I've taped it off to an 8 by 8 inch square. I didn't gesso the paper, I'm just working directly on the surface. And I started with some loose charcoal marks, really just to break up that clean white square and get something happening. Ironically, almost all of those marks eventually disappear under the acrylic paint, but that doesn't mean they weren't wasted. They got me moving and gave me something to respond to in the first few minutes. And for tools, I'm using a color shaper, a basic catalyst wedge, a palette knife, and a catalyst wedge number 5 with the notches on the edge, which I realized I hadn't pulled that out in a long time, so I wanted to try and use that. And that's what gave me those little notches in the yellow paint at the top there. I'm also using charcoal and a little titanium white water-based spray paint. And I'll put all the paints and tools I used in the description below if you want to take a closer look at any of those. And at this point, I'm really not thinking about creating the pathway yet. I'm more interested in getting some variation onto the surface and seeing what these colors can give me. And this is something I really like about working intuitively from a prompt. The prompt gives us an intention, but it doesn't have to dictate every decision. We know that eventually we're looking for movement in some kind of directional pathway, but we can discover how to get there as we paint. And that's an important distinction for me. Intentional composition doesn't necessarily mean planned composition. And I can know that I want the viewer's eye to move through the painting without knowing exactly where that movement is going to happen. And as the shapes and colors and textures begin interacting, I can start looking for something that might become that visual route. One of the things that can really help us create that route is contrast. And when we hear contrast in art, we probably think first about value, something very light sitting next to something very dark. And that's definitely one of the strongest kinds of contrast, but it's only one possibility. We can create color contrast, like warm colors against cool colors, or complementary colors, or really saturated colors next to something more muted. We can contrast textures, putting something rough or heavily worked beside something smooth and quiet. And we can do the same thing with shapes, large against small or geometric against organic. And lines can contrast too. A thick line feels very different beside a thin one, just like a straight line behaves differently from a curved one. And hard edges can sit against soft or disappearing edges. A busy pattern can suddenly stop and open into a very quiet area. And we can have a highly detailed passage sitting next to something incredibly simple. There's even directional contrast, a group of vertical marks interrupted by a strong diagonal, for example. And that can immediately change the way our eye travels through the painting. And that's really why contrast matters so much for this particular prompt. We're not just using contrast to make the painting more dramatic. We can use contrast to tell the eye where to go. If everything has the same intensity, the same amount of detail, the same texture, and the same visual weight, our eye doesn't necessarily know what's important. But when something changes, we notice it, and that change can become the next step along our pathway. And this is where I finally start seeing the pathway in this painting. I didn't begin by saying, I'm going to make this sweeping light area travel from here to here. It came out of what was already developing on the surface. Once I noticed it, though, I could start making more intentional decisions to strengthen it. And I think that's one of the really interesting things about combining a structured prompt with intuitive painting. Sometimes the idea we're looking for doesn't appear until we've been painting for a while. And once we see it, we can help it along. We might repeat a shape or strengthen a value change or continue a line or introduce a pattern or cover something that's interrupting the flow. So the pathway isn't necessarily one thing. It can be a combination of color, contrast, shape, and direction working together to keep our eye moving. And just like the pathway itself, the focal area can develop as we paint rather than being planned from the beginning. So coming up, once I could see where the pathway was leading, I added a splash of yellow and orange in the lower third. That warmer, brighter color gives the eye a stronger place to land and gives the pathway a destination. And something else I think is important is that creating movement doesn't mean every square inch of the painting needs to be active. Actually, those quieter areas can make the movement stronger because they give our eye somewhere to rest before it continues. It's that contrast between busy and quiet and detailed and simple or hard and soft that keeps the journey interesting. A focal point gives our eye somewhere to land, and a pathway gives our eye somewhere to travel. And I think the two can work together really nicely. So when we're looking at our own abstract paintings, one useful question might simply be, where does my eye go first and where does it go next? If we can't answer that, it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with the painting, but it can reveal whether the composition is doing what we intended it to do. So I'm putting down some of that cadmium yellow and a mix of the cadmium yellow and cadmium red to create a little bit of orange to just enhance that focal area. And coming up, I'll show you some close-ups as well as the final piece in different orientations. And I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from the bold pathway prompt. We don't have to completely plan a composition in order to create intentional movement. We can start intuitively, respond to what's happening, and then recognize the opportunities the painting gives us. Maybe it's a line, maybe it's repeated shapes, maybe it's a shift from dark to light or rough to smooth. Once we notice it, we can strengthen it. That's one of the reasons I like exercises like this. We're not just trying to make a finished painting, we're training our eye to recognize what's happening while we're making one. So here are some close-ups. And I'll show you the final piece here. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more intuitive abstract painting demos and exercises like this one, feel free to subscribe. And as always, if you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks for watching, and keep on painting.